Welcome back to Let's Play Farming Simulator 2019 on the old stream farm with the Bumpkin Farmer, better known as One of the Nation's Rage. Welcome back, guys. Hope you're enjoying this series so far, and I have been I've been working. If you may or may not notice, if you look up in the top right hand corner at my money supply, then you may notice that I have a considerable amount more than what I had on the previous episode. Okay, and it's not from this greenhouse, although this was the last thing I did on the previous video. I put in this greenhouse, I put in this manure pit. I don't actually think I need this manure pit. I wasn't thinking about it when I did this. I think all that I might actually have to do is purchase one of these filling stations. Pretty sure that you can get manure from one of these, and they don't take up nearly as much space as a whole bunker would. So I'm probably going to end up selling that because I don't like how much of my field space that it's taking up. But with that being said, I'm going to walk over here and I'm going to see if you guys happen to notice anything peculiar about the property here. It may or may not look different. Can you tell yet? If not, that's alright. That's alright. Basically, I've been cutting down trees, but not by hand, okay? I talked to the owner of the store, and I told him, you know, he was asking me, why are you buying a manure pit? Why are you buying a greenhouse? You know, when you don't even have enough land to put it on, hardly. And I just told him, well, I'm looking for supplemental income while I'm waiting on my crops to grow. I need some other type of income to help supplement so that I can make more money and not lose as much money. And he listened to my whole plan about, you know, buying this particular property here so that I can do forestry while I'm waiting on my crop to grow. And he said that was a good idea. I mean, he's not like an advisor or anything, but he's been in the business for a long time. So he has seen many farmers come and go. Some that stay and some that don't last long because they just don't have the know-how to keep their business and their industry going. So he gave me some advice. He said that, you know, basically when I bought this particular piece of land right here, that was very intelligent, very smart for me to do that because I can stay efficient. Obviously, while I'm waiting on the crop to grow, I can do forestry, right? However, he did mention that the way that I was going about doing the forestry was not efficient enough, and he recommended that I lease some equipment. So this is what I've leased from the store, and it's very expensive and high maintenance. But if you look at my money, you can see that it actually has paid off. Overall, it's paid off. I've carried about probably 5 to 6 loads in the past day to the sawmill. Full loads of logs on this here, and I'll show it to you. I'll show you how all of it works and everything in a minute, but I just wanted to take some time to explain what I've been doing, why I have more money. No, I didn't cheat. I'm actually leasing this forestry equipment, the tree harvester here, and the loading truck, the log truck with the robotic arm on it. I was a little intimidated by it at first. Believe it or not, I actually learned how to operate these two pieces of machinery by watching YouTube videos in the store over there. And I'm not an expert by any means, but I have made enough money off of this to stay ahead of the leasing cost and still make profit. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. And then I'm going to get busy and I'll just give you a demonstration of how these two pieces of machinery work in case you haven't seen it. Alright, but what I've gone with is actually, it's a fairly new mod here. It's almost $500,000 if you buy it. And that's very, very expensive, but the leasing cost, the initial leasing cost in itself is over $20,000. You see it right there. And then you got to pay per operating hour, you have to pay nearly $9,000. Per day, you have to pay just over $4,000. So it's not cheap at all. And the only way that it's a good idea to even invest, and you're still taking a risk depending on how quickly you catch on to how it works. But you're going to have to stay busy. You're going to have to keep these two machines running all the time, around the clock, to make money, which is what I've been doing. And I've paid a lot so far per operating hour. I'm putting out almost $10,000 per hour to operate this thing. But on the other hand, I'm also making a lot of money. Obviously, as you see, I have quadrupled my money from the previous episode. This is it right here. Okay, so this is what it's called, the Buffalo, and this is what grabs the logs, loads them, and this is what I take the logs to the sawmill in. And as you can see, even though it's not as expensive as the tree harvester to lease, it's still pretty high. So, for every hour that I operate these two pieces of machinery, I'm spending nearly $15,000 per hour. And I just wanted to point that out. But my goal in this episode is to continue to do this a little bit, make a little bit more money. I ultimately want to, I'd say, end up with enough money before I turn these back in. I would like to end up with enough money to purchase more land and possibly a house. So that's what I'm working on right now. That's why I haven't shown you, that's why I didn't show you myself initially doing this. I just kind of did it off camera. It's because it's going to take a little while for me to get enough money to get what I want to get. And it's actually, it's working because of the fact that you can lease equipment. This is actually working. It's working out pretty good. And it's not cheating either. I'm sure that in real life, most people would lease equipment like this before they bought it. Unless they were, just full-time, going into forestry full-time, and then they'd still probably lease it. Whoa. Got hung up on another tree. Okay, it's starting to settle down. But basically, it's gonna fall on it. Yeah. This is how these two pieces of machinery work. As you can see, it's way more productive than using a chainsaw. This is the easy part, however. Alright? That's how the tree harvester works, in case you haven't seen that. Now I'll show you how the Buffalo works. And this is what is so time consuming right here, because you have to do this just right to maximize the amount of logs that you can fit on the back of this thing. If you don't load it neatly, then you're not going to be able to fit as much onto it. So you kind of have to take your time, but you also want to be productive. You don't want to take too long when you're doing this. And I think the real object is to just keep steady with it, you know. Like I said, I'm not an expert. That was horrible, actually. But I can fix it. Hang on. There we go. It's a little bit tricky and it takes a little while to get fluent with the controls, but it's really not that bad once you get used to it. It's not too bad at all. And then, of course, you can also strap. You can strap the logs down while you're moving around out here, picking them up, and that helps keep them from obviously moving around, shifting, making it harder to keep the load itself neat and organized. But yeah, this is what I've been doing for the past day in the game, and it has paid off. I have made a very, very, very decent profit by doing this. It's definitely worth it if you have the patience to do it. And I've actually been so busy with it that I haven't even touched the field as far as planting anything else. I've just been doing forestry. And I think that this is what I'm going to continue to do for right now, until I get closer to that, you know, $250,000 range, excluding what I'm paying to lease, and then I'll probably turn it in. Probably turn the equipment back in. I don't want to like keep doing this forever. I do want to do other things, but for right now, I think this is the best thing that I can be doing as far as making money. Once I reach that $250,000 mark, I'm probably going to purchase some land straight away. And there's land that I could purchase right now, but the thing is, I want to get a good bit of land. I don't want another tiny field. I want, a good piece of land if I'm going to do this. The thing that's unique about this map is that it has standard fields, but then it also has these grass fields. And you can change these into uh, arable fields. You can put normal crops in these, and you can turn these into grass fields if you want to, but I just think it's unique that this map is already set up to have grass fields and arable fields. Something that most other maps don't typically have. So yep, that's my plan, and I'm gonna continue to work now. Um, Maybe do a time lapse, and I'll get back with you guys when I get closer to that $250,000 mark. Okay, so not my best stacking ever. Um, it's not great, but it's gonna work. It's actually gonna work a lot better than just throwing piles of tiny firewood sized logs into a tiny tipper trailer. These you can actually strap down, like I said, so they're not going anywhere. And you know, if you look at the way it's stacked, it's not stacked very neatly. And I could have done better than that. And if I had, then I probably could have fit considerably more in there. But because of the way it's stacked, I just decided not to try to stack it any higher. There is one that's like hanging out, about to fall out, it looks, but it's actually not going to go anywhere. So yeah, it's not terribly realistic. You would never attempt to drop down the road with a load like that, I'm sure. Sure, the DOT might have something to say about that, but it's just a game. But let's see how much we're going to make for this. And keep in mind that, there's a lot of kindling size logs on here, but there's also some pretty decent size logs. There's a few of them, maybe 4 or 5 good size logs that we're carrying right now, and those are the ones that are going to pay out the best. I mean, they're going to pay very, very well. The bigger the log and the straighter it is, the more money you're going to get for it, and the longer it is. Can actually, that's where all your money is. Actually, you're going to make a lot more off of the big, straight, long logs. And the smaller stuff, you make a fair amount off of it, but it's not anything like the bigger stuff. And I've actually been considering just uh, temporarily setting up a chipper in the yard so that I can throw the smaller stuff into it and just exclusively take the bigger stuff to the uh, the sawmill. I'm thinking about doing that, but like I said, I'm already actually pretty close to my goal here, so I might not do that this go around. But I'm probably going to end up before it's over with leasing another tree harvester, another one of these, and just periodically continuing to eat away at those woods until there's nothing left. When there aren't any more trees left, I'm probably going to terraform that land. And I mean, these are just ideas, but I'm probably just going to terraform the land, make it flat, put a house on it, and then maybe eventually some animal pens of some sort. I thought about doing that, but right now, with all those trees, it's not going to be possible to do that kind of stuff. So I'm slowly getting rid of them, but there are a lot of them, and I'm glad there's a lot of them because this is going to be my solid income. This is what's going to help us grow and actually start a real farm. Wow, those shifted a lot. Okay. So for that much wood, just under $30,000. Yeah, you can't beat that. It took me about half an hour to get all that, including cutting the trees down. It took me about half an hour. So obviously, you can see how lucrative this is. You can see how uh, profitable it can potentially be if you're willing to do it. It takes patience and it takes a little bit of skill with the way you're loading things with this robotic arm. But once you get the hang of it, it's not that big of a deal. The object is to continuously keep moving with it. Don't get hung up on something and frustrated to the point that you just want to quit, You just have to continuously work at it and you'll get better at it. It is pretty hard though. I've actually been using these things for a long time, so I might have a slight bit of a skill level with it, but I'm still not great. But I enjoy doing it. A lot of people think it's annoying and they think it's too hard. It's too much work, but I actually like using these things. And I'm just assuming that in real life, the actual controls and the physics and everything are very similar to the way they are in the game. Given that the game's actually functioning properly. Sometimes the physics in this game are just shot out crazy, but yeah. So let's go get that other load, and then hopefully by then we'll be pretty close to $250,000. Alright, so just finishing up the second load of logs here. I'll let you guys look at it or show it to you. Yeah, this this really long one here, it's the one that it was the very first tree that I cut down from the very first episode. I went ahead and grabbed it from the front yard where the store was, and I didn't cut it or anything. I just left it on there like that. But yeah, it's ridiculously long. Try to show you what some of the logs look like on the trailer or on the truck. This is a better load because I've got more of those thick straight logs than I had last time. So we'll go ahead and we'll look at the price difference here. This one should be better. Yeah, 34,000. So that puts us at just under 250. We're like 9,000 away from 250. I can keep going just so I have the 250. Or I can go ahead and turn the equipment in. I think I'm going to go ahead and turn the equipment in. And I'll have some time to think about what I want to do next. Like I said, I want to buy some land. I don't want to spend all this money on land, though. I would also like to maybe purchase other things to increase my options as far as what crops I'm going to plant and stuff. I might get me a planter so that I can do corn and sunflower. But if I do that, then I'm going to have to check the compatibility with the harvester that I have and make sure that there's a header I can use to harvest corn and sunflowers that's compatible with the harvester that I have. If not, I'm going to have to pass that up because I can't afford to buy another harvester right now. The way I see it is basically like the first thing I need to get is more land. Obviously, I know that now. Need to have more land so that I have more earning potential for my crop. I also need more space for upcoming purchases such as a house, equipment sheds, and eventually animal pens, because I'd like to also have animals. I've thought about possibly getting a couple of horses and maybe going into that market of training horses and selling them. It's good profit doing that. It's time consuming as well though, but it's definitely worth it. The profit is definitely there. We'll see.